wisdom and insight, I believe, is meant to be shared just as well. Just like when Solomon received all of his wisdom.
Welcome to the Howie and Beastmode podcast, where we discuss all things business,
So what's going on?
strategy, and execution.
Okay, so update.
As well as personal and professional
I believe the last time I talked with you guys, I was trying to make a decision if I wanted to jump into accounting and kind of create another stream of income while I plan my fashion or alterations business and stuff.
Empire.
So yeah,
Your empire.
yeah, Empire. So yeah, not doing that. I prayed about it. I even talked to my parents and more so my mom about me starting school and all that. It really just sparked, I feel like, an unnecessary anxiety that, oh wow, I'm about to embark on doing accounting, like really pursuing it and conversing with firms and trying to be an intern. Like, it was crazy. I've met with a lot of people. I actually went to a UTA event, accounting event, I think before talking with you guys. And I got a lot of connection and they liked me and they're like, oh, wow, you're really smart. And wow, you're making a transition into this world. And like, for me to occupy that space, I have to really be in it, or else why am I investing that much time? You know? So that dawned on me like, oh, wow, why the heck are you going to get into more debt and make this big commitment when it's something that's not really what you want to do or focus on? So yeah, I went ahead and talked to my advisor and was like, yeah, we're not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to follow up with, I think I actually had to drop my classes and it felt weird. Like, oh, wow, I'm not going to do this. Okay. So now we're going to do, I think at the time, I forgot what job I had at the time. I think I was working at Route 21 as an assistant manager, but that just fell through because I had a ridiculous manager, new manager that came on, but regardless, I left that. So I'm currently a server at a Chili's restaurant, and then I also substitute teach at the Irving ISD district. So just trying to build back my savings and continue running my mobile alterations business. I've tried to just promote a lot on my Facebook and Instagram and revamp my website. So now my price is kind of a pretty much set standard. It works well for me. My traveling fee, all that is kind of working well. As far as reaching out to people on Facebook groups, and there's a search engine for me to search people with certain keywords. It could be like hashtag bridal 2022 or wedding something, just something bridal something. I'm able to DM certain people and show them my flyer and kind of do a greetings to kind of draw them into my website and all that kind of stuff. So I've seen many people have looked at it, but no one has really replied to it. So I'm like, oh, okay. And I've literally heard nothing, no one from, I think about 500, I think, that mailing, I think it's called Every Door by USPS, that whole thing that I did. I shipped it to a specific neighborhood and all that. Heard nothing from it. So hopefully they actually mailed it out. I don't know. But it was a lot of money and it was a lot of time.
How much was that for 500? How many is that? How much is it for 500?
I think I spent, I think if I were to see my receipt, I think it was was it 200 or something like that for it to go to, I think, up to 500 to 600 places in that specific neighborhood. I think it was in a certain place in Arlington, like a nice affluent area or whatever. Some of my clients live there. So I'm like, okay, I was hoping that was passed out. They didn't really give me a notification. I just dropped it off there. And they're like, oh yeah, so we're gonna mail it and all that stuff. And literally nothing. The phone was not ringing, nothing. So I'm like, okay, wow. Yikes, that was a waste of money, but okay. Another thing that I'm trying to cultivate, which I've been always trying to do that, even from the beginning of my business, is upcycling. So you remember that one time, or not that one time, but when I mentioned about inventory, and I think you asked me why don't I create a product or something like that. So I guess what I'm thinking, and at first what I dreaded was, oh, I need to create a product. I need to order fabric from like a manufacturer or from like China or whatever, and get things in bulk and start doing things and experimenting and stuff and have an inventory. But now I'm like, and I've been thinking since back then, I'm like, no, I want to transform pre-existing clothes and just refurbish it, pretty much create it into another outfit. So I've been doing that and doing it heavily and experimenting with it. I'm currently working on a project. It's just now what I'm facing with is juggling all the jobs I'm doing. It's hard to give life to that area, which I feel like it's my thing. What's going on here? I feel like, stop. There's my dog, my sister's dog. This jumped into my room. I feel like that is my, that is something I need to focus on. A lot of instances, I'm like, hey, I need to focus on this upcycling. I call it upcycling, pretty much. Hey, stop. Wait, dog. 1 second, let me close my door. Go outside, please.
Jess, what's the name of the website?
Coutouredbyjess.com. So COUTURED by Jess.com.
Cool name.
So yeah, I know I've said a lot of things. Let's see. What do y'all think? What do you think? I know I'm all over the place, but yeah,
No, it's
I'm
great.
like, yeah.
That's a good work. Is this website new since we spoke?
Huh?
Is this website new since we spoke?
So I've been having the website, but it was old. The pricing was not there. It was kind of like, oh, they need to contact me. And then that's when I mentioned more in depth of my pricing and rules and whatever, like, not background information, but I forgot what I put in there. Like info that they need to know. Like the travel is like 50 cents each mile, like things for them to kind of expect with booking.
Okay, yeah. And it seems like from your early chatting about Facebook and everything, that it seems like maybe weddings, for alterations, weddings is kind of a focus. Is that right?
It was my focus because that's where I make the most money doing alterations for like a special occasion wear rather than like pants, having a pants and stuff like that. So
Cool. Just capturing some notes here. And what did you say on Facebook you tried?
Putting up, so first I went and look at groups. Some of the groups most of the groups I've joined, they didn't want me to blatantly promote my business. So I had to kind of sneak it, or when someone mentioned some event or whatever, I hop in their DMs or message. So I tried to do searches of specific things like hashtag bridal 2022, or someone recommendation like for alterations or bridal party, even some of the local bridal shops and stuff. Because some bridal shops don't really have alterations inside their store. They outsource. They tell other people to go other people and stuff like that. So I actually did that as well. I went to a lot of shops and, so like, oh, hey, can you refer your clients over to me? They're like, okay, what's your business? All that kind of stuff. Some of them were just pretty much telling me like, oh, if you get traffic, like our clients naturally come to you, then we could set up a contract or whatever, but that didn't really happen. So it's hard to be found when you don't have a place, so.
Now you're still living at home, right?
Yes.
You're living at home right now? Okay. So that's helpful. And you, through recent situations, have generated a little bit of debt. So you're paying that off? You're working on that? Okay.
Working on it.
Cool.
So far, it's okay. With the credit card debt, I mean, the interest is going up because I'm not paying my minimum. I'm not being able to pay my minimum because, to be honest, it's my line of work that I'm doing currently. So as a substitute teacher, And being a server, my calculations of what I thought I would be bringing in is not what it is. So it's just, yeah.
Yep, gotcha. Yeah, it seems like doing both of those things would be halfway decent financially. So I'm sorry that's not quite there yet, for sure. Okay. Yeah, so we kind of want to make sure we probably don't want to do as many things that are going to cost you right now. Just do more like hustle type things versus cost type things. I think that the every door thing was cool as an idea, but
Mhm.
not everything's going to work. And plus, some things are gonna like some. You may have been on the refrigerator, and then when they need that, then they'll call you. So it may not be like instant because there's a little bit of a timing element to what you do.
Yes.
One of the things that like in my closet, I have sport coats that are not the right size. I mean, I think so at least. And I don't know about my wife. She may or may not have situations like that. But to me, that's a pretty good market. It's like those clothes that people have in their closets that are sort of like you're locked out of those clothes because they don't fit properly. You know what I mean? And so to me, that's a market, and it's just a market I happen to be aware of. The wedding market is really interesting because that is a continuous thing. And then also there's dance studios. We may have talked about this, like Lifesong and Grapevine and others that have big competitions with like 100 girls that have to have things, altered in their outfits. And so so tapping into natural streams um, of work that exist already could be good, for sure. Um, I know the owner of Lifesong, which is Carolyn Franks, and Lifesong's a really prominent dance studio in Grapevine. So that would be interesting. But as far as okay, and so there's a few ideas. Let me write this down actually. Introduce to Carolyn Franks. Yeah. So, and there's like Artistry in Motion. I think they're in Arlington. They're a major, very competitive dance studio, very successful dance studio. There's Dana School of Dance in Southlake, which is like real rich and real nice. And that's, I don't know anyone though, but that is a market I'm telling you right now. I mean, that could keep you busy, at least seasonally, pretty well. Those dance studios, and then again, it's just like, hey, Carolyn, I'd love to come by, talk to you about what we do. Blah blah blah. Tell them what you do, type thing. And then onto your upcycling thing, and I also Beastmode, any questions before I dive into the upcycling?
Yeah, I was looking at the website. One of the things that I would just recommend is set yourself a parameter. So when somebody's booking with you, the last thing they want to see, and this is just from a sales standpoint, I don't want to see a fee associated with traveling, right? So you just set a parameter in your price, right? So I mean, I don't know what kind of car you have, but assuming you get like 20 miles to the gallon, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say, hopefully, then what you do is, I mean, then you would tack on like $12, right? So that gives you 60 miles, right? 60 miles around here from Arlington, you're going to be able to get most places and get back, right? So then what I would do is I would just say within 30 miles, right? It's complimentary, right? You're waiving that fee because again, I need business. And the last thing, I'm not trying to nickel and dime people. A lot of times you can add So instead of charging $40 a garment, you're charging 42, right? And that $2 they don't know, but you know, is you're repaying yourself for commuting, right?
Okay.
But if you get multiple commutes in a day, because again, often you're not going to and fro. You're not going from your place to there, back to your place. Ideally, you're going from one job to another job to another job. So I'm not paying you to go back, right? And most people know that. And so again, I don't know what's hindering somebody from booking, but I know
Yeah.
that could be something, and it's so medial. I mean,
Yes.
again, you know, and honestly, 50 cents is probably too much anyways. That's more than what you get paid in your taxes. You get to claim that anyway. So as a small business, you get to claim, I think it's 39 cents or something like that per mile. So you're already getting paid to do that anyways. So I would try taking it out and just having flat fees, you know, bridal gown, medium dress, steam, $40. And then you put $40 within 30 miles. Additional fee after 30 miles. So if somebody calls you from Oklahoma City, wants you to drive there, yeah, charge them. If somebody calls you in Mansfield, don't charge them, $20 to drive over there and back. Go make your $40 and steam their dress and get more business. So it's just something to consider. So that's just one thing that I saw. Again, I'm a big fan and of just saying flat out what it is. This is what I'm offering. This is how much it costs. Remove any burdens, any hindrances. I shouldn't have to click here. I shouldn't have to click there. It's just, I know what I'm expecting on the front end. I mean, again, and I'm probably far on one side. I don't want to, I know it's $40. That's what I agreed to. I don't want you to show up, do a great job, and then you ask for 60, You know what I'm saying? And so it's just, a lot of times it just clears the air and it just makes it nice and simple, especially when somebody wants to refer you. Hey, she did my dress and it was $40. And then, so it can be yours too. Makes sense. And then one thing for Facebook, one of the things that you can do is don't comment as a business, comment. So like you see a post or whatever, obviously don't don't comment as your business in the group. You comment as yourself and you tag your business. That's how you get out of from the marketing aspect, because you're not a business marketing, you're an individual recommending a place. Right?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then lastly, and then I'll let Howie share again. Every morning, I would get on Facebook, I would go to the search, and I would search for alterations. I would search for Taylor. I would search for anybody mentioning those things in my zip code. Right? You can do that. And even just the zip codes around you within 10, 15 miles. And anybody that's saying, hey, does anybody know anybody who does alterations? Anybody know Taylor? Anybody know? I would comment as yourself and say, this person is amazing. Drop your link and then drop your telephone number. Put both. Don't just put your link, because the person who puts the link and the telephone number gets a phone call. The person who just puts their link gets a view. That makes sense? I would rather have a phone call. I can tell you to go look at my page later. Call me. It's more likely you're going to book. Make sense? So I would do those things. Those are just some quick ways just to get some quick business. You know what I'm saying? Do the things you like. And maybe, again, generally, whenever you do one appointment, you do one thing, somebody's going to refer you. You let them know, hey, starting up on my own, small business owner, I would love any referrals that you have. And then just let them do that. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Awesome. So I was looking at Yelp while we were talking, and there's a lot of wedding planners on here. I just chose Fort Worth, but just literally because it was in there. But there's a lot that came up, and I am sure some of them already have a relationship for alterations, but some may not be, or some may. One of the things I've noticed in the world in the last several years is that some of the people coming up don't work as hard, or they don't follow up very well, or they don't communicate very well. And so it may even be they might have an alterations person who doesn't follow up very well. So even though they have someone, it's like you can be the disruptor and be like, listen, I'm the queen of follow up, I'm the queen of communication, and I'm the queen of detail. It's like bam, 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 follow up, detail, and communication. And it's just like, and she'll be like, oh my gosh, I have so many problems with my alteration person. I would love to have a conversation with you. And you're like, well, let's get a cup of coffee and let's talk about it. And you might be able to throw her, a commission for when she uses you, so she could have a different stream of income. And you know what I mean? Here's what happens with that is, if you can stick to your guns on this business, it'll become a lifelong referral business. Like, honestly, Beastmode's dad started off, and I know it was hard at first, I'm sure it was, but he does like educational coaching for people that are coming out that want to go to college and the whole bit. I don't know all the details, but that's the general idea. But now it's like referral, like literally. I mean, Beastmode, am I wrong? It's referral.
Yeah, 100% referrals. It's the only way he gets business.
So literally, when you do a wedding, now it's like you got, other events in their life, you've got their friends. And the great thing about it is, and I'm sure there'll be guys that book you for alterations, like my closet, situation. You're going to have that kind of stuff too. But honestly, women sort of run the world. Like, they make so many decisions, like purchasing. And so, like, I mean, I'm married, my wife runs the show. And so it's like I would even know how to, book a wedding, like seriously, or even like work with a wedding planner. So yeah, I really feel like when you're tapping into the wedding audience, you're getting to a heavy like a 98% female demographic, and they're going to be referring you for the rest of their life. So what you have to do is understand right now that it's a little bit of like, you're having to like prepare the ground and plant the seed and water and weed. It's like it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen. But really, you've just started, and it's a farming process, and that crop is going to come up for years and years and years. But yeah, I think you're going to, one of the things that you're doing right now, like you already follow, like think about what you've already done, right? You've already decided to change out of the accounting side, right? So it's like you're making good decisions, like you're listening to your counselor, you're listening to us, like you're avoid, that would have been a costly thing, and also multiple years, and it's not necessarily a passion versus what you're doing right now. It's exciting, you really love it, and you're very talented with it. You have a new website as well with some some new focus. You're working on paying off your debt, so you're showing that really great hustle. I think the next thing, and also you did the every door thing, right? So you're having that entrepreneurial mindset, you're experimenting. So I feel like all the things that you're doing right now are preparing you for the next step, which is outreach. And I think it's just like, be willing, like say, no matter what happens in the next 30 days, I will make 150 phone calls. And when I can find the email, phone calls with email. And the way Yelp works is communication is kind of built into that platform. So you can message the owner. You can, if there's not a direct way to message them, you can basically request an appointment, for wedding planning consultation, and then you get a hold of her that way. So if wedding is the thing, I mean, I want to say go put an ad on the knot, right? But we can't afford that right now. So it's like, but what we can't afford, is we can afford 150 phone calls in 30 days and just have that goal. And like every single wedding planner in DFW, whatever the number is, I don't know. But being willing, there's probably 150 though in DFW, and then up to Oklahoma City, like Beastmode was saying. But this general kind of large expanded metro area, making those calls, doing the outreach, and also I think it makes some sense to, frankly, and this is ugly, but to put it in a spreadsheet when you call them. And if you'll do that, then Beastmode and I have a way of actually putting that into a system for you. If you have, and I can actually, I'll just send you a spreadsheet. So if you fill out the spreadsheet, like let's see, you go to yelp.com, you find, like this lady here, what's her business called? Saucier. So she paid for promotion. So she showed up first. And so I don't know her name. I don't know who this is.
Mhm.
But it's women-owned business, of course. That's not surprising. Most of those probably will be. Um,
Mhm.
but talks a little bit about her business and all this kind of stuff. Doesn't give her name, so I will probably have to use the Yelp portal to
Mhm.
reach out to her. Or I could search for her website and her information might be on there. So it's a little bit of
Mhm.
work. It's probably, I mean, I hate to say it, it's probably 5 to 7 minutes of work to
Mhm.
even prepare for your phone call, because you want to look at her Yelp page, you want to go to her website,
Mhm.
and from the website, she'll probably have her name there, and probably have her email, and probably have her phone number there. So you may not even have to use the Yelp communication system at all. And then, you type it into your spreadsheet, because then later I can load that into this free online database, business database. It's called HubSpot, and we can do that for you. It's like an hour of work. It's no big deal. And then you have it in a system as well. So I
Mhm.
do feel like that's your next step, and I think you get some results from that,
Okay.
with people who are ready to change, or they've decided, yeah, I really am tired of having to find someone every time. I really need someone who I can really call. And if as long as they give you enough warning, then you can commit to it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Check your calendar and all that. But I think, to me, it's like, how do we get you out of spending more money? And I think in the future we should probably, but like for now, how can I work with you to get some leads? And I think
Mhm.
it's through making these phone calls. So it's like, okay, I'm going to spend 2 hours a day, and with my prep time, even if my prep time's 10 minutes, I want to try to make 12 calls, at least 15 calls during that 2 hour window, including prep time.
Mhm.
Update a spreadsheet so I can be organized. And also, let's say her name is Jennifer. So
Mhm.
it's like, you called her once, you left her a voicemail, you sent her an email, she didn't get back to you. But it's like, what Beastmode and I know is that, unfortunately, the world of, because what you're talking about with this outreach is actually, that's essentially sales. And unfortunately, what him and I know from our background is that it does take multiple touches for some
Mhm.
people to kind of, you're like, okay, well, this is real. This isn't just a spammer. Like, she's
Yeah.
real, because she called again. It's like people eventually have a little sympathy and a little bit of empathy and a little bit more trust because you called them more than once. So,
Mhm.
even if you said, hey, I'm going to make 150 calls, you could even say, I'm going to make like 50 calls, but I'm going to call them up to 3 times. You might
Mhm.
even have better impact from that. So anyway, that would excite me a lot because it's free
Yeah.
and it's your sweat, but I believe it would work. And Beastman and I both know from our own sales background that
Mhm.
this type of thing, of being kind of systematic, of like going after this target audience, I'm going to get good about how I talk about that because I'm doing it 50 times.
Mhm.
Because once you start pitching 50 times, it's like you're going to really understand for that type of audience what you're saying. Um, and how that comes across will be more confident, and you won't be nervous because you've already called 12 people the same exact way. It won't be nervous anymore. So anyway, that's kind of my big takeaway for tonight so far. Beast Mode, I talked a little too long. I apologize. I want to flip it
No,
to you.
I'm right on point with you. Having the phone calls, and again, 150 to somebody who's probably made zero in the last couple of months sounds daunting. So maybe do 50 and do 15, and so do 15 and then
Mhm.
do a different task for 30 minutes, then do another 15, then do a task for 30 minutes, then do 15, then do a task for 30 minutes, and then do the whole thing again, right?
Mhm.
Because by then it would have taken you probably 2.5 hours to go through that entire list of 45, leave voicemails, or maybe you're having a conversation, so it takes a little longer. You're sending emails at the same time. You're friending them on LinkedIn. You're finding them on Facebook. You should be doing all these things.
Good point.
It helps to see the social touch in conjunction with all those things. It's a real person who's calling me. It's not fake. I got an email. It's just, it's a lot easier to get a reply, and it's a lot easier to get something back. And again, it breaks up. Howie's been doing this a long time. So,
Mhm.
if you just gotta pick up a phone and get after it, Howie's been doing it And so it's just one way to do that. I'm going to show you something real quick to just kind of validate. Again, I'm not in your industry, but this is something I did, and it took me probably 3 minutes. Can you see my page?
Yes.
So all I did is I went to Facebook, I typed in search, and I typed in alterations, tailor, and you can see Emma's looking for recommendations for a tailor seamstress. Does anybody know a good tailor or somebody who does alterations? It's right. This is free business.
Yeah.
So you drop your name, you drop your website, and your name's already on there because you're commenting, but you drop your website and then you drop your telephone number, right? Because if you go look, we'll click on one of these, we'll see, right? So a lot of these comments just have people's names, right? So now what happens is if I'm interested, I got to DM this person. Hopefully this person DMs me back quickly, right? And so it just elongates the process, where if there's just a telephone number, I'm going to call you. I'm going to find it out, right? And so I want to make it as smooth as possible for somebody to get in touch with me. And I'm telling you, every time that I do this for businesses, when I look, and I'm the only one who puts the person's name, the business name, and the telephone number. And if you're looking at it on your phone, which most people are, you can just click the number and call right then. So and these are just from a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah.
So
That's
just something.
incredible.
Yeah.
That was really incredible. Yeah, they're looking right now. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. Just takes re-strategizing. So I guess.
And that's free too. So Beastmode, just because I want to learn for me, but also maybe it'll help Jess as well. So I go actually, can you just demo it right now? Like show us?
Yeah, sorry.
Or if you're not in a position, it's
No, yeah.
Okay.
No, yeah, you're good. So Jess, I'm just using some lingos that I know, right? So what are something like, what's a service? So you did steam, alterations. So let's just make it different. All I did is I just went to the search bar and so this is it. I didn't go to any groups or anything like that. Now then you go to post, right? And then ideally you go to recent post. I want to see the most recent ones there are, right? So then you'll get stuff like this guy's promoting some kind of event. If you want to go, then tag it. So this is somebody who's doing something similar, right? So these are all businesses that are promoting it. So probably we'll have to take Steam out because Steam is getting a lot of business stuff. So you have to, one of the things, and again, if you've been around for a minute, you'll hear me, you have to understand the lingo of how your customer is talking to you. So you may use the term steam and alterations and tailor, but what are the customers saying in their post? And so sometimes that's what you have to play around with. So that's where I did alterations and tailor. You have your post and recent post. So that's where these ones came up. And so again, part of these are, you see where this says right here, Houston Black-owned businesses, all things Northfield. These are groups, right? And so the more groups you're a part of, kind of like what I was mentioning last time, is go to the different community groups. So the communities that are in your area, right? Because that's where people are posting these things at. See this one from a couple of days ago, seeking prom dress alterations, right? Because prom season's coming up.
Yeah.
Right. And so same thing. Right. And then you can even go in to a location.
Can she limit that by, location,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
I don't want Sudbury, England.
Yeah. Well, again, some of these, again, they're pulling from my groups and things like that too. So for you can customize it again by just joining groups. And so again, I can show you that if you need to see that too.
That's really a great idea.
So let me show you again. So here's just the groups page. I just went to groups up here and loaded, right? So you're in Arlington, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you go to Arlington groups, right? So you can just look at all the different groups. So these buy sell trades, those are good places. So any of these like this, and I look for ones that have a ton of. So this one has 85,000 members, right? So you're more likely to get.
So do I search from within a group like that, or just the general search
No.
bar, or both options?
No, so this is just to join as many groups as possible.
Okay.
So just like LinkedIn, I
Mhm.
want to begin getting my fingers in as many pies as I can, because the more pies I'm involved in, the wider my search is going to get, right? That's personalized to me, right? So
Yes.
just like you saw a second ago, you saw, groups that I'm involved with that are out of state, right? Well, I want the groups that are for me, but they're close by, and they're the ones I'm choosing. And so again, a lot of those community groups, so if you know specific neighborhoods that
Mhm.
you're interested in, then that's really helpful, because then you just join that specific neighborhoods group. Does that make sense?
Like the
Or
South Lake this, or the
Yeah.
mid
Yeah.
cities this. Okay.
Yeah, or
Cool.
or you go to the neighborhoods that that you're willing, that are going to be willing to pay your fee, and so maybe you do target South Lake and Frisco, McKinney, and Highland Park and things like that, and stay away from some of the other neighborhoods and zip codes that aren't going to be willing to pay your fee, and you just join as many as you can. I would also highly recommend just creating a post and putting it on Gateways. Gateway has Facebook pages for every campus, and they're normally pretty flexible with members, meaning Gateway members, who are posting and saying, "Hey guys, I got a small business," or blah blah blah. If you have anybody looking, I would really appreciate any referrals, right? And so things like that, or just say something like that. Sometimes you may get tagged and say, "Well, hey, go post this in this specific group." But they're a lot more, "Hey guys, I attend the Grand Prairie campus. I started a small business that does alterations. Let me know if you need any help." They're normally really chill about it. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're not just browbeating somebody with, "Here's my business,"
Yeah, it's
And
all
they're,
about.
and it, yeah, and Gateway community is a really good community that will refer, that will encourage. They'll start tagging people, and then they're leads, just like Howie's talking about, right? So if somebody tags their friends, then you're messaging their friends and saying, "Hey, so and so from Gateway recommended that I reach out to you. I run an alteration business. I'd love to help you if there's anything I could do." So, and just a couple of these things, like, I mean, a mixture of what Howie's talking about, some phone calls, a mixture of what I'm talking about. I mean, you could, and we broke down the numbers last time, if I remember right, where you could start looking at how many per week that you need,
I know.
to be successful. And then that's really, and again, that's a point of prayer between you and God, is to say, "Hey, God, based on the numbers, I need 30 appointments a week. And so I'm trusting you to provide 30 appointments a week." And it's helpful because, again, whenever 30 comes, then now you have a conversation back up and saying, you give him praise, saying, "Thank you, because you're the one who provided these 30. It's a specific number that you prayed about. And so whenever it happens, it's a lot easier to be reminded, God, you did this. I have to do the manual work, but you did it. You know what I'm saying? How you're muted.
Yeah. so so also new things. So like, okay, so currently with me having the 2 jobs, also now having some sort of like leadership role in Gateway Grand Prairie campus. So I'm trying to balance, my social, spiritual life, work life, and then also my side business life and all that. I'm just trying to figure out I literally have a Google Doc like of my schedule and everything that I'm trying to schedule in just to still be present in some people's lives and church and everything like that. And now the work and job, and then now with this task of, contacting more people and all that. I'm trying to find the best way to navigate it to where I don't get burnt out like I did when I did have my business at the physical location, and then before shutting it down, and even after shutting it down, I was just really burnt out mentally that I was like, I have a lot on my plate and I just don't know how to necessarily keep afloat with finances, to be honest. The debt, I'm like, I also wanted to ask, like, do y'all have a financial advisor or something? Because the projections and the calculations I did for me, like for what I thought I was going to be making and all that kind of stuff, nothing's adding up. It's like I have no money and it's terrible. Like, I don't know. I feel burnt out. I feel like, yes, I could spend my day calling people and all that, investing in the business, but I'm just like tired, to be honest. Juggling 2 jobs, it doesn't make, it's not, and then also my side business, it's just not, things are not adding up, if that makes sense. I'm just overwhelmed, to be honest.
Well, I think first of all, we hear you on that.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry you're going through that. For sure. That is hard. There's the debt piece, and then there's I want to have some kind of friendship life, and then it's like I am trying to do some ministry, and then I'm hustling. I mean, I'm proving myself to hustle because I have 2 jobs. So it's like, it's not a work ethic issue. It's a math issue. It's really a math issue on my money and on my time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, that's what I got going on. So I'm super sorry that it's a struggle right now. It's definitely not the end. This is the middle.
Mm-hmm.
This is the valley. So it's hard to see forward in the valley because, it's cloudy, it's dark, you're walking forward into darkness and you can't see,
Yeah.
but the Lord is with you and loves you tremendously. And, he calls you daughter. Literally just heard that, by the way. But yeah, so first of all, I think, from a calendaring perspective, is it, here's the crazy thing. It's hard to do the big strategic stuff that's going to change the future
Mm-hmm.
because we kind of have a lot on our plate right now. So it's hard to spend 2 hours, especially if it's going to be 2 hours, a few days a week. It's hard to find 2 hours to do some of this outreach and to do business development type stuff. And yet that's the future, but it's like there's stuff in my way right now that I'm having to pay bills and do my thing and get out of debt and do lots of stuff.
Yeah.
But so it's hard to invest in that stuff. But what I have found is when I have sacrificed in my own personal situation, the stuff that's important. There's this weird illogical thing that I've seen in my life, my business life, where the things that I spent time doing proactively were the things that lasted, and the things that tried to constantly yell at me that I'm late to this or I have to do that, the things that I felt obligated to do or that I was forced to do, those are things I hardly remember. But the stuff where like, okay, I worked all night on this project, it's like that became like the company standard for XYZ. It's like, because like that was something that I felt was important and it was strategic, something that my heart was telling me to do, but we don't allow ourselves time for a heart the hard work or the future stuff, the big strategy stuff.
Mhm.
You know, because we are so responsible sometimes about the things that are in the short term. So is there anything that you can cut schedule wise? Like, is the substitute, like, which, like, do you need them both? Because it sounds like it's not even working financially right now with both. Because that's the problem with the substitute, is that's your daytime, which is when you would be calling people.
Yeah, is my daytime. And then yeah, I'm a server at night.
How many days a week are you subbing?
So I try to do 2 full days. I was doing half days and then jumping to be a server, just trying to make the maximum I could make. But it turned out that with serving now, um I haven't been making, for some reason, something's going on with the location or whatever. I haven't made as much as I did initially. So I'm like, oh, wow. So now I need to now focus and do a whole full day as a sub teacher, and then use the weekends to where I really work a longer shift as a server to get most money. So I'm like, right now I'm just
Yeah.
doing, I'm just dibbling and dabbling and picking up hours. Now I don't have a off day because I'm working. So it's just like, I don't know, it's too much. I'm not keeping up. Like Tuesdays nights, I'm gonna go to Gateway because I do believe that I want to be a part of the community. I've lived life so much to where I just go to church, hear the word, or do it online and watch it online, and not be a part of any community. I feel so alone. But now being a part of a community, able to relate with people, able to talk about other things other than work, and it's more like I'm trying to invest in other people's lives as well to have a balance, if that makes sense. Because I didn't have that balance or community when I was all alone at my physical shop location, just doing everything, just battling everything on my own myself. Yes, I had my family and some friends or whatever, but I just felt alone. I didn't feel like my life was balanced. I was like literally at my shop from 9 a.m. to like 10 sometimes, or midnight when it's like a lot of load. So I'm like, being an entrepreneur, do I have a balanced life, or is this, I have to wait till I hit it? I have to sacrifice things, my spiritual community and all that stuff, my leadership. And, it's just, I don't know. I'm like, I just felt burnt out in my brain. I don't know. Things are just not clear anymore. My path it don't sound clear, or not even realistic for me to even handle the bills that I have now due to my business journey. Like, I don't know. My brain's just like poof right now. Like, yes, I did not embark on the accounting thing because that would have been a hot mess. Like, literally, that would have been a bigger situation to where I would have, like, that's dumb. But now I'm just like, okay, what should I cut off? Should I cut off the reason why I did the serving, being a server, because, oh, wow, it looked like I was making 700, at least 700 to 800 a week. Now it jumped to like 500. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. It's equivalent to my substitute teaching kind of thing. And I'm trying to make more,
Can I give you a suggestion? I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
So I have several friends
Yes.
who part-time, meaning a few hours, probably less than 20 a week, that they Uber and do Lyft.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, and again, they have no reason to lie to me, they're making $300 to $500 a day doing that. And for somebody who's mobile and driving around, you can drive from one appointment to the next and make money in between. Right? And I don't know how much you're making as a substitute or as a server, but I'm pretty sure it's not that much as what they were just expressing. And so it's a way to kind of to merge both, to be, God, I'm going to be mobile. I'm going to do this business just like you feel like you're asking me to do. But as I drive from appointment to appointment, I'm going to turn this thing on. I'm going to pick up any fares that I can, And now I'm able to kind of work everything in and around kind of the same thing, as opposed to jumping over here to do something and jumping over here to be a server, then jumping in here trying to run a business. You know, they just don't seem to be heading in the same direction, besides producing some kind of revenue. But I mean, Howie, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the way those work, because my family's done some DoorDash and some something else, Instacart. We did Instacart as well,
Mhm.
and yeah, he's not wrong. So if I'm in an area, so
Yeah.
my daughter will do DoorDash in Norman, Oklahoma, and then when she's in town in Grapevine, she'll do some DoorDash as well, and so it does pick up. And I mean, I can just do 2 trips, or I can do however many. DoorDash is not as lucrative as it sounds like Uber might be. So I wouldn't expect $300 to $500 in a day. You know, my daughter will make somewhere between, you know, for like 1 trip, she might only make, you know, $9. But if she does several trips, you know, she might make, I've seen her make maybe 120 or so before in 3.5 hours, let's say 4 hours, probably 4 hours. So that can add up for sure. But he's not wrong that those location-based services, they basically see where you are and then they just route you to whatever is in the area. So it's not a bad idea.
Mhm.
If you know, I think what you would probably do is you would essentially have, you would probably have, you know, if you're out and about and you're on the way to the restaurant, or you want to pick it up before the restaurant or after school, you know, that those are some opportunities. But I guess if you're going between tailoring jobs, then on the way there as well, or in that area, you know, you could pick somewhere up in that way as well. So it's nice to have that set up. Uber takes a little, I set up during the pandemic, actually, when I lost my job. I did get set up for Uber, and it's not instant. So if you wanted even the option, you have to kind of give yourself some setup time, because they're going to background check you and all that kind of stuff as well. So yeah, I think it's a good idea for sure. But I just wonder, like the Chili's, if the Chili's is not working out in terms of tips and volume, then
Yeah.
we could also, it's kind of fluctuating. Yeah. So my daughter right now is trying to be a hostess at Del Frisco's Grill in South Lake. And, you know, with, I think it's like $14 an hour. And then she gets tip share from the waitresses. So we think that'll be another $4 or $5 an hour. So we think she'll make $18 or $19 an hour. And she's probably going to work 15, because she's in high school. So she'll probably work 15 hours a week, or maybe a little bit more. And then during the summer, she might work 30 hours, you know? But I think you could upgrade your restaurant and solve some of these problems and be able to drop some of the substitute back down to half a day or whatever, you know, to buy yourself some time to do some of this work. Because even if you didn't make the phone calls right now at all, and if I just brought you a bunch of leads, sounds like your time might even be a little bit constrained, even to do the tailoring itself. So it sounds like even if the business magically ramped up without you making any phone calls, sounds like there might be a little bit of time strain. Is that right?
Yeah, they're usually like, I have a window, and so far I've been doing it like, okay, I'll meet you at 5 p.m. So right after me teaching, I will jump to the client's, you know, place, and, you know, kind of do it like, okay, the following day I'm done with the alterations, I work on it, probably in 2 days, I'll meet you at the following 5 o'clock, you know. It's just, and I get it, like I'm doing too much. I'm doing a lot. I'm afraid to drop one thing and just not be able to pay my bills. My credit score has dropped like crazy. I mean, it's still in the 700s, but I mean, it's still dropping because I'm not able to pay my business loan, you know, on time, and you know, miss like delayed payments and all that kind of stuff. So it's just like,
Have you called them?
I actually
Whoever
want
you're financed through, and just had a conversation with them and just said, hey, some things have changed. I need to adjust this for for, 120 days, and then, we can relook at things, but if you don't make the phone call, there's not an opportunity for them to do anything, and so it's just one way to get some stress off of your back, but just getting some breathing room. I mean, what's the worst they could say? No, then okay, well, again, for me, and I'm just going to tell you how I work. And I know everybody doesn't work this way, but I want opportunities. I so much every day, I need a supernatural answer to problems, right? And the only way to do that is to involve it in there. But I need opportunities, right? If I do the same thing I've always been doing, but never involve a supernatural, that's the only thing that makes me different. That makes you different. That makes Howie different. Is, and it's just one of those things. It's God, hey, I need some breathing room. I'm going to make this phone call. I need some assistance. Here's an opportunity for you. And then maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but I'm looking for opportunities like that every single day. And that's the reason why I suggested the Uber, number one, because Uber, I'm talking to people. So now I'm working on my sales pitch as somebody's in my car, and you never know, they may be a lead, right? And I can, while I'm not driving around, I can go park near Starbucks and I can be cranking out calls. I can be doing both of these at the same time. That's the way my mind works, my brain works, because I'm either doing it or I'm not, and so it's hard. I would rather work 12, 14-hour days, Ubering, mixing in some phone calls, mixing in some replies on Facebook, mixing in some of these things that are all headed in one direction versus a smattering. Now, Howie's different, and Howie's done it differently. And so this is where, again, you take advice, you take wise counsel, you go back to Christ and say, you're ultimately going to guide and direct me,
I do think that was a good idea, though, if you talk to the loan company, because my wife helped our next door neighbor who had a really difficult divorce, and she had a bunch of debt because the guy didn't pay his bill. It was a really weird thing. Anyway, she got some relief from them, and they did some stuff. So from what I hear, the people that run loan organizations, at least a lot of times, they will listen to that and they can work with you to say, well, let's make the minimum lower then. It sounds like you're going to be in good faith and you're trying, that kind of thing. So I'm vibing really good with that idea. And then also that's a great opportunity for the Lord to, to move their hearts and things of that nature. I really like the idea of upgrading your restaurant, just because it's one strategic thing where it's like you can grow your revenue by 30% just by having a little bit better location or a little higher end restaurant, whatever it may be. Doesn't hurt, I'd rather work more night hours and do more, waitressing than I would substitute, because that's not a lot of money. I mean, I think the correct, by the way, please correct me if I'm wrong, but a good night waitressing is going to probably beat a substitute full day. Am I wrong?
No, I would on a good night. Yeah.
On a good night. So how do we find more good nights so we can do, and maybe you still do half a day on your sub. That's cool, or whatever, but just buying you some freedom by raising the take, you know what I mean, with on the restaurant. So I mentioned Del Frisco's Grill. You wouldn't have to go in as a hostess, but whatever the restaurant is, I'm just saying from what I understand, it is kind of a labor market more than it is an employer market, and that jobs are more plentiful right now. So it might not be a terrible time to upgrade the restaurant unless there's a specific reason, and there may be that restaurant's important, but if not, then that's one thing we can do that can move the needle. So imagine if you upgrade your restaurant and you even had 20% more income from that, just from the same number of hours, just 20%. And the loan people said, yeah, we'll take a smaller minimum. That's cool. We won't dig your credit anymore. The new minimum is going to be this. And you're like, oh, that's a relief. I think that'd be good. But I'm also sensing one of the things that I've had to do in my career, and I'm probably getting close to this right now in my career as well, is just like taking some time to rest And so I think you are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Extrovert.
Okay. So maybe it's with, with some friends or whatever it may be. I do still think some alone time with the Lord or resting, having a day where you can take a full day where it's like, okay, I'm going to sleep in. I'm not going to have any priorities. Or I'll have half the day to me. And then since I'm an extrovert and I recharge with friends, then I'll make sure to have a nice evening with friends, whatever. But I feel like you need some time with the Lord as well to heal you and have him call you daughter and to get some extra sleep. Because I feel like the stuff that we're saying, you're like, cool, but I'm already at my capacity. It's like, it's hard for me to think of anything that you guys are saying because I'm already kind of at my limit.
Like I recently, like from the beginning of January, I try to go to sleep early and then wake up at 5:30 or 5 o'clock. Yeah, I was doing it. It was going great. But now with tackling, I took a break from doing the whole lead stuff from Facebook and all that kind of stuff. I was like, I took a break. I was not even posting regularly on my Instagram, all that stuff. So it gave me a little bit more time. I was focused on like things like juicing and my diet kind of thing, just to kind of help my mental health, because I felt like I was just burnt out. I'm like, okay, what else do I need to be doing? And I started my day off with doing my devotionals, and that has helped. But now I'm just facing the fact of, okay, so what is it with your gift, your kind of your calling in a way, with your business? What do you need? Like, what do I need to do to make it grow? Now also with my finances, how do I need to think differently or plan, I don't know, budgeting, whatever. I thought I was doing something like, let me show you what I kind of put together. I don't really use an Excel sheet, but it's something that I just have eyes on to say, okay, this is how much I should be bringing in and all that stuff. But I mean, it just didn't add up when I started doing the serving more. And then it was just bad days. I was like, what's going on? It's because there's a lot of servers here and I don't know what the heck was going on, but I was like, it was not adding up. So then, okay, let me go ahead and pick up the substitute job. Okay, it's only a $105 like day rate. So it's just like, okay, that's taking up a lot of my time. And I have now a small time to meet up with my clients. So maybe there's a client that wanted to meet with me at 9 a.m. or something like that. I'm not able to do it, because I'm at either subbing, doing a half day in the morning, or doing a full day and then jumping at night to do serving. So it's just like, what time do I even have? I kind of want to live a balanced life, but then also, should I just cut off kind of meeting up with my friends or my now like spiritual community? We meet up on Tuesdays, Sundays. I don't know. I'm just so tired.
I feel like the sub thing, gosh, it'd be nice to cut that out, just and replace that income. That would be so nice to replace that. It's only $210 a week anyway. At the current, at the 105,
Yeah.
Seems like that wouldn't be that hard to replace. I just would love it if your days were really yours, and then your nights we could go ahead and work. But we'll tell you what. I think one of the things I know we need to wrap up, so I think I'm going to send you these notes of some ideas. I love the Facebook search idea. I still love the Yelp idea as well. That's more of a long-term partnership thing. The Facebook is basically short-term, literally finding needs right now. So you've kind of got the short and the long-term figured out in those two. And then I feel like you need some time to sleep and rest and not have priorities. I think you have to call the loan company. At least you'll have the conscience that, well, I tried. It doesn't mean they're going to do it, but you can try. You know what I mean? You can at least give that opportunity. And then, maybe consider upgrading the restaurant if possible. So anyway, I'm going to send you these notes. You'll have some stuff. You can look at it, see what speaks to you. I tried to capture everything. You can add to it if there's something I forgot. And we can certainly keep in touch. But I know we want to pray for you tonight. And let's see. We'll just pray whatever the Holy Spirit gives us. We'll pray for what we know, but also whatever.
A short-term detriment. And so let's just say it's costing each one of their employees are still having to pay and benefits and things like that. But at the end of the day, what they're going to receive is now these first responders are now going to have a commitment